So this agent that enrolled himself into his own health insurance plan got switched, right? So ACA, us talking about ACA is kind of the wild, wild west is crazy. And for anybody that doesn't know, Affordable Care Act is Obamacare health insurance plans. It's kind of the gold standard for Americans for health insurance. So the wild, wild west, meaning you can just go into anyone's profile with their date of birth and their name and switch their plans. So a lot of people's data gets sold on the black market with information, sometimes even your social security number. And agents, bad actors, people that don't get consent, people that just put things in other people's names, and it's wild, but they'll go into your profile and switch your plan without your consent, without your knowledge.
Do you think this is a scam?
It's fraud. When you're switching somebody's plan without their knowledge, it's complete fraud. You don't have consent. I guess fraud, scam, go hand in hand.
Hey, what is up? Welcome back to the CA Power Player Podcast. I'm your host, Cody Askins. Today, we have a special guest in office all the way from Miami. Let me tell you about this cat really quick before we bring him in. Okay, Mr. Jay Abdulaziz, over 15 years of experience, 350 million plus of premium, 12 different businesses, serial entrepreneur, super impressive cat. He's going to get into some stuff today that's going to be like, oh my gosh, this dude's a freaking genius, and I may not understand it, but he will, and he's going to help us understand it together. We got some huge topics on like virtual sales and no-call ACA and some like shady marketing tactics and how to virtually sell health insurance on a massive scale. So please welcome, all the way from Miami, Florida, Mr. Jay Abdulaziz. What is up, buddy?
Thank you for having me, man. Great. Happy to be here. Very excited to have this conversation. How are you doing?
I am great, man. It's good to have you in studio. Like, I love this when I get a chance, man. Also, I'm guessing you guys enjoy this too. If you're watching, let us know in comments below if you like it when our guests actually spend time to come hang out with us in studio. So thank you for doing that.
Of course, man. Very excited to be here.
Absolutely. Dude, I've been super impressed by you over these last little bit that we've been getting to know each other. I had heard of you for a while, like you're doing some impressive stuff. I got a chance to get a virtual tour of your office the other day, which was sick, by the way.
Thank you.
Love your office.
Appreciate that.
Got a chance to meet your beautiful, amazing wife as well.
She's amazing. Love it.
Yeah, so cool. You guys are a great couple, showing me the kids, and we're talking about Disney, and it's been fun, man. It's been awesome. Yeah, it's been great.
Nice. And I love the office too. And you guys are moving, so that's exciting stuff.
Month and a half.
Nice stuff going on.
Month and a half, which is crazy. So if you guys come to Springfield, you'll be hanging out in a new spot soon.
Growth is always good, man.
Yeah, thanks, buddy. Well, dude, let's talk about growth, man. How did you end up growing to where you are today? Because you've got a very impressive resume.
Yeah, so I started all the way in high school, right? So while I was in high school, I was a sandwich artist at Subway, and I used to work for all my uncles. I left that and started to look for, well, let's start there. I was making a couple $100 every weekend. And then I looked for an ad in the paper told me I could make $1,000 a week, right? Now, if you're an expert, you know that everybody sort of puts $2,000 a week, $3,000 a week, come make money, especially in Florida, call center hub. So I went to go check it out. Now, the schedule was from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. So it actually correlated with my high school schedule. So I started selling vacations right away, and I got addicted and I got hooked right away, right?
Were you 18?
Or
you didn't have to be 18?
17, yet. Turning 18.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. So I just kind of worked my way. I sold my way into the interview, right? So I was like, hey, just give me a chance. They were kind of looking at me funny, like, you don't look like, where's your ID? And I was like, look, I'm 17, but I can do this. And at the time, all these call centers, they like the younger crowd anyway. So
totally.
Yeah. So I started working 4 to 10. I was doing day drives. Day drives, for anybody that sells vacations, day drives is where basically I was calling the tri-state area, New Jersey, New York, Maryland, and we were having people drive down to Atlantic City for the chance to get a free, or actually not even a chance, to win a free airline tickets and a free hotel stay. Wow. All they had to do was take a 90-minute timeshare presentation. So that was my job, is scheduling them and making sure they show up. So that's what I did right out of the gates. But that's where I got my phone sales sort of start, right? And then I started selling vacations. Now, when I moved on from that, I was actually selling vacations. This was a one call close. I had to get someone excited about going on vacation, get someone excited about the destinations that we had available. We only had a limited number of destinations available. Vegas, Orlando, a few, easy to sell destinations, but a limited number of destinations. And then we had to sell this vacation package. So for 2 years, I did vacation sales, right? Wow. So I had to get them excited, get them to pay $500 over the phone now. Right. So that's how I really got my start in one call closes. And then my manager had moved on to do work in the health insurance space. So once I got done with the vacations, I called him. Hey, what are you up to now? He said, look, I'm selling I'm selling insurance. And we've got a bunch of middle-aged men that are having trouble selling insurance. Can you please come and show these guys how to do it? I'm like, hey, I've never sold insurance before. He's like, it's the same thing. Just come. I was like, okay. Yeah. So I went for a couple of days. I was horrible, terrible. We were selling discount plans. So it wasn't quite insurance. It was the alternative to health insurance, right? So I was pretty terrible. A couple of days, I quit. And then I kind of told myself, and this is the way my brain processes, I was like, look, I don't think I gave it my all. I didn't give it 100%. Let me go back and try. Because I'm talking to him in between after I quit, and he was like, look, I don't think you gave it 100%. I was like, all right, let me try it again. So I went back. This time I go back, and this is maybe a week later, and I actually really, I'm thinking, what do I do here? I sat next to the best person, and the person wasn't even that good, but they were the best person there at the time. But I'm like, all right, what is this person doing? How do I get to the top of this board? And I really got into it. And so
where's that competitive spirit come from, where your first thought is like, dang, I got to get up there?
I played football as a child. I've always been involved in sports. I play basketball competitively till this day. Dude, right.
Let's go.
Yeah.
We need to go lace them up, man. Let's go.
Yeah. So just, boxing, football, basketball. These are like all the sports that I really love. And I love just the overall competitive vibe to all the sports, no matter what. I play volleyball. I just play everything very competitively. Yeah. And so I think just my brain is just wired that way. Mm-hmm. And so anywhere I go into, no matter where I am, the thought is just, all right, how do I get to that level? And I don't want to sound cocky, but I think a lot of us do this. We'll go into a place, especially a sales floor, and we'll look at someone that's at the top of the board, and I'd be like, this person's at the top of the board?
Yeah. That's exactly what I did when I first joined insurance.
Yeah, if that person's at the top of the board, I could definitely be at the top of the board, right?
Correct.
So I don't call it confidence, call it being cocky, or, but that's what it was. And so anyway, I started doing that, and I made my way to the top of the board, and eventually went to assistant manager, then to manager. I took my vacation script that really worked for me, and I applied it to insurance.
Wow.
So it was really the formula, right? Because to me, a one-call close kind of looks like this, right? And that's what I was taught in my vacation sales. So opening, how to have a great opening, how to become a detective and ask the right pre-qualifying questions,
Smart.
Fact-finding, and then how to get into your presentation and how to close. So I really applied that formula to the insurance.
Yeah.
And it really started to work. So, my manager at the time really helped construct a script that would work eventually for everyone. And that script was my vacation script and the insurance stuff sort of combined together. Because when I quit too, and when I got back, there was no training. So it wasn't like they brought us in a training room and gave us product knowledge and the script and said, hey, gave us all the tools for success. They threw a brochure on my desk and said, this is what it is. This is what it covers. Figure it out. And when I had questions, it was like, I don't know. So we really had to figure it out. And so that was the challenging, but the most rewarding thing, right? Because I had to actually figure things out and then teach people how to do it instead of it just being handed to me. And now I'm just stuck in this way that I was taught. Because I was able to construct my own way, it just brought a lot of value, and I was able to sort of build on it.
Totally. Again, gives you a ton of confidence too.
It did, yeah. So by the time we knew it, everyone was writing sales. They were doing great. And the owner of the company had moved on to start up a or not the owner, sorry, the manager moved on to start up another company with a couple of investors. So I went and worked with him. I kind of followed him around until he became my investor in my first agency in 2011. So finally I was his director of operations, and his company was with his parents now. And I ran that for a couple of years, actually like a year and a half, until I kind of said, hey, I'm going to go open up my own agency, and I'd love for you to invest, love for you to, I'd love to give you the first right of refusal. And I had investors lined up. I had my family ready to invest. But
did you take an investment
from him? Yeah.
What's the thoughts on that? So I like the concept. A lot of people are naturally resistant to taking money or an investment in some capacity. Talk through your psyche and thought process behind it and why it was a good move.
Sure. So my parents are immigrants. They're from Pakistan, right? Cool. My dad was a very hard worker, working from 6 a.m. to 12 a.m., working gas stations, working at Subway for my uncles. My mom was a stay-at-home mom till 2007. She became a real estate agent.
Yeah.
So we grew up with next to nothing. And just the thought of starting up a company just never crossed my mind.
Wow.
Until the guy that I told you was my manager eventually became, the owner of this company. I really had a lot of conversations with him, right? And so he really sort of even put that thought in my mind that I could have my own agency,
was
right?
Was he like a mentor?
You could say at the time, yeah, he was. He really was. He really climbed the ranks in front of me, and kind of paved the way for me to climb the ranks and say, okay, this is possible. Okay, that's possible.
Yeah.
Wow, this guy, he's only a couple of years older than me, and he went and started his own company with investors. Wow, that's possible, right? So that, so English technically is my second language. I'm just, I just didn't even think that I could own a company, right?
Wow.
So when I went to go raise money with my friends and family, they were all pretty supportive and they were ready to invest. So in my mind, I just know what I'm doing for the company. I'm the director of operations at this point. I have a really good insight of the financials. So I was really confident that I could make this happen. And so for my friends and family, that investment, it was really on a loan basis. Hey, give me the money. I'll double your money and give it to you if things work out, blah, blah. Like that was the thought process.
Yeah.
With him, I had to give away equity. And I was happy to do it because he had already done this from a really behind the curtains, I couldn't really, things I couldn't see, he knew. And at the time, I didn't know what that entailed. So I was just, hey, look, I think that you'll be a better fit as an investor. And right away, he said yes. Like he was pretty impressed with how I was running his operation and how, like, my knowledge. And I mean, he's seen me climb the ranks, so he knew that I knew what I was doing. And for the majority of the time, so he brought in another investor as well. So, and the other investor is actually my best friend today.
Cool.
And even him, he's a great friend of mine. So we still talk till this day. And we just knew going into it that this was going to be great. And it was. So I'll give you the numbers too.
Cool.
So in 2011, $32,000 invested. We were paid back and profitable within 5 months.
Wow.
$32,000. It's impossible today. But at that time,
yeah,
it was pretty wide open. And 32,000, man. 5 months
cool.
in, we were profit. But we were in the office from 8 a.m. till midnight, 1 a.m. We're young. I'm 23, I think, at the time. So we were just going, man. We wouldn't stop.
Yeah.
Saturdays, Sundays, we just really had the blinders on and we were just zoomed in. So that was my first agency, and then the rest is history.
Crazy, man. That's awesome.
Yep. So here we are today, $350 million in insurance premium and counting. Big areas, ACA and final expense. Those are the two main businesses.
Do those go, for those that don't know, do those go hand in hand, in your opinion?
Yeah, I do. But we have separate marketing and separate sales but we haven't cross-sold yet. But I think the target market is the same.
Yeah, especially if you get into like 45 to 65. Yeah. So do you believe in, so there's a different school of thought. Some are like, you should sell everything. Some are like, you should sell something, but then you should cross-sell. And then there's another school of thought that's like, no, the whole funnel should all flow into one sell. Keep it super simple, rinse and repeat, and just sell the crap out of that. What's your opinion?
My opinion is exactly that. Single focused operations succeed. So I think when you try to do too many things all at the same time, nothing, you're kind of half-assing everything, right? I like the single focus, be good at one thing and that thing. So for us, health insurance under 65 has really been our main focus. The final expense is completely separate agency, completely separate team. That's why I don't even want that part of my ACA operation.
Yeah.
Because that just distracts and takes away from the main focus.
So good. And what are some tips you would give? I think we have like seven total? 7 different topics that I want to touch on in a minute. But before we get there, okay, these are going to be incredible freaking topics. You guys are going to love this. Before we get to some of those topics, though, dude, I'm telling you what, this cat's impressive because he is he's prepared more to bring value in this interview than anyone else that I've ever interviewed.
Wow.
No lie. Like,
awesome.
Most people don't do this.
Okay.
So I'm super impressed. One question I had, though, you mentioned earlier, too, about the importance of fact finding and asking really good questions. I feel like a lot of agents just ask questions to ask questions. And there's not a reason for the question. How does someone that isn't naturally good at what questions to ask and fact finding be able to flow into just always asking the right question? Because you can get in that state where you're responding to what they're saying and you're always asking the right question. What's your opinion on that and how someone can start to get good at that?
Have you ever tried talking to a girl?
Yeah.
When you try to get to know her, there's people that'll kind of go into just themselves, just talk about themselves, trying to sell themselves. Mm-hmm. And then you've got the people that are really good at it. And what do? They really want to ask questions.
Yeah.
They want to know, right? And the sale, no matter what you're selling and no matter what you're doing, it's the same, right? Mm-hmm. Fact finding is very important because I don't know if you've seen this. Have you ever seen Jordan Belfort say, "Sell me this pen"? Mm-hmm. You've seen that?
Hilarious, by the way.
Yeah.
We just tried it in an interview the other day, like literally a couple days ago, and the answer we got was also just hilarious. But we're doing it to make them uncomfortable and see how they respond. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sell me this pen, right?
Yeah.
So somebody asked him, there's, I guess he was doing a Q&A. And so somebody from the audience was like, they were going to ask a question to Jordan and they go, "Sell me this pen." So Jordan Belfort goes, "All right, the reason we do that is because when we tell people to sell me this pen, a lot of people start saying, this pen writes upside down, this pen writes in black and blue and blah, blah, blah. And they just start making a bunch of gibberish up, right? And really what we want to see people, when I say sell me this pen, is ask me questions. So a good salesman will also ask questions. How long have you been in the market for a pen? What color do you usually use? What do you use it for, business or personal, right?
Yeah.
When you ask questions, when you do the fact finding, that's how your customer will tell you how to sell them.
So true.
Right? So that's the idea of fact finding. And when you're doing, especially health insurance, right? Do you have health insurance now? How much are you paying? You get a lot of insight on what their range is. What's their affordability? Yeah. When's the last time you had coverage? Was it through a job or was it private? Do you have any pre-existing health conditions? What medications do you take? Blah, blah, blah. So you're asking, I like to go further than just the questions that are even in my script because the answers people give me beg more questions. So I really want to know for a few different reasons. Number one, for myself, I want to know how to sell this customer.
Yeah.
But number two, once you present a product, the customer is confident that you've done your due diligence because you've asked so many questions. Yeah. So it also a psychological play on the sale, right? Especially when it comes to a one-call close. So many different reasons why fact finding is so important.
It's good. Yeah, it's so important too. It's crazy. Yeah, it's so big. I think it's one thing that does hold a lot of agents back.
Yeah. So, everybody, business owners, salesmen, everybody's so stuck in the now. How do I get money now? How do I do everything now, right this second? And so even when you have a customer on the phone, it's just about how do I sell? And, you forget that laying down that foundation of question, because what happens is as you're experienced people think about obstacles, beginners think about ways, right? So when I bring a brand new training class and I do a product knowledge training, we do a script training, in their minds, they're like, how can we not sell this? We have customers that are calling in looking for health insurance, right?
Yeah.
What's the problem? Why aren't your guys selling, right? And then my guys that have heard objections, that have heard quite, for them, they're just like, I want to make sure I'm not wasting my time. So they want to just try to speed through the entire process. And the guys that do best are the ones that do the best fact finding, the guys that do the best post closes, that take their time after the sale is done, wrapping up that sale, making sure it's tightened up,
So good.
making sure the customer's not calling the carrier, talking to someone that's, on an hourly wage, reading from a script. Call me, And so when the customers actually hear that, they write the number down, they call you, your retention's better. And so overall, that fact finding, the post close, taking your time is key. And I think that's a pretty big, important part of the sale.
Big. All right, let's jump into these 7 topics. What do you think?
Yeah. So
these are good, man. Well, so why these? Like, kick it off for like, why these 7?
So I think this is going to bring a lot of value to the listeners, right? Because all these things sort of happen in the industry where, you kind of see them on forums, you sort of see them all over the place.
Facebook
and everyone,
groups, all this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes people don't really want to go through reading these articles to figure out kind of what's going on. They I think that a strong opinion is needed on these topics. So the first one, I don't know if you've heard about the Ambetter memo that came out. So that's really regarding ACA.
Okay.
ACA is brand new in the way that it's being done now. So it's kind of the wild, wild west.
Dude, I'm hearing all kind of crazy stories about ACA right now.
It's crazy right now. Yeah. I mean, I'm hearing a lot. Believe it or not, I've been offered the craziest, most, frowned upon things that I have to turn down. But it's crazy, man. It's crazy out there. People are selling people's book of businesses. Marketing tactics are crazy. You could sign somebody up just with their date of birth and their full name. So customers are moving left and right.
That
Retention
stuff's on Facebook. I mean, goodness gracious.
Oh man, it's so crazy. So Ambetter sent out a memo, and Ambetter's memo is really regarding marketing tactics.
Okay.
So there's people, there's ways to do things the right way and without crossing the line, without getting into the red, right?
Yeah. These
people are just in the red, blatantly offering $500 gift cards to sign up, right? And really let's call it a loophole. I think there was a $500 card that maybe Ambetter was giving away in a specific state, right?
Yep.
So they take that $500 gift card and turn it into a full-blown marketing campaign, right? And, for a long time, nothing was said about it. But now Ambetter has this memo out that, hey, this is not the right way to do things, right? You can't say $500 gift card and use the Ambetter logo just to drive traffic for ACA and then turn around and sell them a Blue Cross Blue Shield plan. No go, right? So they came out with that memo.
Which makes sense if I'm the one forking up the gift card. Yeah.
They came out, ads offering government allowances of up to $1,400 a month for healthcare and everyday needs.
Wow.
Now, what's interesting about that is some of these carriers do offer money. I've gotten an email from Blue Cross Blue Shield saying $500 rewards card, right? So, but I think the problem with it is that if you're only selling Blue Cross Blue Shield and you say $500 rewards, then it's fine. But if you're saying $500 rewards, Blue Cross Blue Shield, but then you're offering 7 different products, now you're basically using that $500 rewards and making it a blanket statement for all these other carriers. So that's the big problem. So I'm curious on your thoughts. You've been in the insurance world for a very long time. So Ambetter coming out with this memo saying, hey, we're aware of what's going on. We don't like it.
Yeah.
What do you think is the follow-up to that? What do carriers normally do when they send out a big memo like that? It's not threatening now, but what do you think is the follow-up to this?
Yeah, that's interesting because I think it's a warning, and then I think also I wonder if Ambetter is warning for the sake of Ambetter, or I think
put it on record,
or to put it on record, knowing that if agents continue this stuff, it could come back on them, or it could get a bunch of agents in trouble in the future as it starts getting hampered down.
And then they could say, "Look, we put out the memo." Right, we're making an effort.
Yeah, I wonder if it's like a CYA for them. You know?
I just feel like if they knew what's going on and they see what's happening, it's not very hard for them to figure out who the bad actors are that are doing that and take action. But this is more like, hey, we know what's going on, we don't like it, FYI.
I think too, like it will people could say, well, it makes me an amazing marketer to use these. It makes it easier for you to do marketing using these. But if you can't build a business doing it the right way, and you can only use it but you can only grow your interest business by giving away free money, I think you're just always gonna have a problem too with marketing in general. Because then the loophole, you're always gonna be looking for the next big thing to like try to advertise with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree with that. I just think that there's a full sort of way of, if you're marketing and let's just say you're using some kind of incentivized marketing, right?
Sure.
And then the agents are able to clarify and clear up what it is and then tighten up the sale and make the customer aware that, hey, that's only for Ambetter in Georgia. But there's a Blue Cross Blue Shield plan. Now, they offer rewards as well, but here's the rewards.
Yeah.
In my opinion, that's fine. We get calls, we generate calls, and people come in saying, hey, I saw these rewards programs. That happens, right?
True.
Thing is that these customers everyone's being targeted that are in a specific demographic, right? So a lot of these advertisements were, hey, if you make under $50,000 a year, XYZ, right?
Yeah.
They get looped in to these marketing, once they engage with any of this marketing, they get shown to everyone, right? Mm-hmm. So a lot of these people are confused because they'll see an ad that we post, they'll see an ad that somebody else posts, and they don't know which one's which.
Yeah.
So they're calling in, they're confused. And if the agent does a great job with, like I said, the fact finding and explaining what it is, what it isn't, and wrapping up the sale properly, then I think that's the key, really.
Here's one question too. It seems like the lower income demographic gets targeted more with deceptive free type things. But the person that's making $250,000 a year, $500,000 a year sees these less. Is that because marketers assume that if you make less money, you're just a dumber human being? This is an odd topic for me to ask and even go there.
I know.
But they must think that. I'm not saying that's true, by the way. I don't think that's necessarily true. I know some millionaires that are like complete morons, by the way.
Not to veer completely off topic, but
yeah,
are the prisons filled with people that have made $250,000, $500,000 a year, or are they filled with low income people?
Interesting. Yeah, probably more. The income's definitely probably on average lower, unless you're Jordan Belfort who makes $50 million and then goes to prison. But you get the idea. Yeah.
But those are a few people that have done very well, not the right way, and then end up in a situation. But the majority, it's the education level. So if you're not educated on certain, just in general in life, and you're not really doing anything, anything that, $500 gift card, anybody that hears that, do you think people like the working class or the people that are doing well are responding to those, or people that are sitting at home watching TV and say, oh, that's an easy way to make $500? Yeah. It's just,
That's good. That's a great answer.
I
threw you a curveball, but that was a really good answer, bro. That was good. That was awesome.
I think that's what it is. So, I mean, not to say that they're dumber. Right. They're just looking for more of an opportunity than somebody that already is working, Yeah. For me to make a phone call for $500, it costs me more to make the phone call,
It does.
So...
In your example, absolutely it freaking does. Yeah. Anything else on topic 1 before we move to topic 2?
So topic 1 also talks about no-call leads, but we're going to get into that. So I want to move on to topic 2.
Okay.
Topic 2 is a guy, on an insurance form. Wolf5150 says, I'm amazed at the lengths folks will go to mess around. I was looking over my BOB this morning and I noticed that my very own UHC ACA plan, which I enrolled myself in, was no longer in my BOB.
Book of business.
Book of business, yes. I then looked at my most recent commission statement and saw chargebacks. So this agent that enrolled himself into his own health insurance plan got switched, right? So ACA, us talking about ACA is kind of the wild, wild west, is crazy. And for anybody that doesn't know, Affordable Care Act is Obamacare health insurance plans, kind of the gold standard for Americans for health insurance. So the wild, wild west, meaning you can just go into anyone's profile with their date of birth and their name and switch their plans. So a lot of people's data gets sold on the black market with information, sometimes even your social security number. And agents, bad actors, people that don't get consent, people that just put things in other people's names, and it's wild, but they'll go into your profile and switch your plan without your consent, without your knowledge. Crazy. And we'll kind of leave a link below for people on where you can complain and where you can take action if something like that does happen. But that's something that's happening sort of across the board, and it's wild.
That's insane. Yeah, that's a good example. And then you talk, and then the no call ACA leads, like, it's just crazy, man.
Yeah. So the no call ACA lead. So this guy saying that his own plan got switched, right? That's happening just on a mass scale where, again, people's data is just being sold. And then you've got this mass block of data, just, people switching plans, people signing people up for health insurance, and they don't even know it. So the way to really understand and know is to go into the marketplace, go into CMS, and see what health plan you do have. Because there's people that get switched and they end up in the hospital, or they end up with a serious situation. Come to find out, they don't even have the health insurance they thought they had. That's a big problem, right? If you don't know your health insurance is being, so.
Especially if you go to a hospital or a doctor from a previous network, and now.
That's my point.
You're not in the network, and you're like, what do you mean? I thought I had this plan. No, somebody moved you to this other plan, but didn't.
But you have no consent.
Gosh,
you have no.
Dang, dude, that's scary. That's scary.
That is scary.
Wouldn't that bother someone from, okay, do you think no call ACA is, and you can dance around if you need to, but like, do you think it's, a lot of people are like, well, if it's a loophole or something I'm allowed to get away with, I'm going to get allowed with, like as an example, like with the tax code, like, dude, if the IRS has a way for me to not pay taxes, I'm going to follow the code and not pay taxes. And I'm going to find as many ways to not pay taxes as possible within ethical, legal reasons, right? I don't fault people for like doing things, but then I hear about those examples where somebody ends up in hospital and doesn't have coverage, or they have a different network or something else. Then I'm like, dang, that's freaking terrible. What's your opinion on this?
I think CMS,
because as a marketer, I get the concept always.
So my opinion on it is that CMS should have better regulations in place.
That's for sure.
To protect people, and they just don't. And
it's crazy.
The government's always sort of years behind, right?
Yeah.
So as things happen, it's a problem. And I don't know what it is. It could be the lobbyist. It could be whatever. But these rules don't really come out until later on.
Yeah.
And that really causes a big issue. So if you're an agency, your block of business could be getting shifted. So as an agency, you could do things to protect your business and your customers. So, for example, the way that we do things, and here's something that's, I think a lot of agencies should be doing. So what we do is we have a concierge person, a retention person who's attached to every one of my agents' book of business. And what I mean by that is there's a customer service or a concierge person that is assigned to every single agent. That person's job is to maintain that agent's book of business. And what do? They help the customers book their schedule their doctor visits, help them.
That's freaking awesome.
Help them fill their prescriptions, help them go get their blood work done. And so this system will help even the customers rest assured that their plan is not being switched, because their plan is being checked on once a week, once a month, So that's a way for you to protect your book of business. As a consumer, I'm concerned about the consumer that doesn't really have an agency like ours to work with, because they could be getting switched and they don't even know it. A lot of times we talk to consumers, and when's the last time you spoke to your agent? I don't know, 8 months ago. They haven't spoke to their agent in forever. So if they don't have someone that's dedicated to helping them use their plan. If they have to call the carrier for every little thing, you could probably, chances are their plan's getting switched around.
Yeah.
And it happens.
Do you think this is a scam?
It's fraud. When you're switching somebody's plan without their knowledge, it's complete fraud. You don't have consent. I guess fraud, scam, go hand in hand.
That's good.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Anything else on topic 2 before we go to topic 3? Topic 2 is a good one, by the way. That was great.
Yeah. No.
Also, you guys let us know, man. Jump in comments at some point when you're watching this later, and let us know in comments below, like, what your thoughts are. Is this a scam? Is it fraud? Do you do this? People do this. Do you think it's okay to do? Or are you doing it, you're going to stop doing it because you're like, dang, I get it now. I don't know. Like, I'm curious because this has been a huge hot topic that I hear about. I was in Cabo. People were talking about this for our Power Player event, man. You know what I mean? It's everywhere. So I'm curious what our audience thinks. So let Jay and I know. All right, topic 3.
No-call ACA leads. So this is a separate topic.
Okay.
So no-call ACA leads is where marketers make a beautiful funnel.
Yeah.
And it's sort of attached to the marketing. So the marketing is the $500 gift card, it may be, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's call it that. And then you go through this funnel where you end up on a page where they say, well, you don't need to talk to an agent to enroll into a plan. We can help you get a $0 plan. What's your income? They pre-qualify them. And then they get down to a point where they have these check boxes that have consents for TCPA. For anyone that knows, that's Telephone Consumer Protection Act. Mm-hmm. So if somebody doesn't give you express written consent to call them, if you contact them and solicit them for any reason, that's a TCPA violation. So you have to have that consent on your website. So you have that box. Then you've got a consent box to enroll people without ever calling them and talking to them.
Yeah.
So there's 3 or 4 similar boxes that'll say something like that. You give us permission to enroll.
And they just check them.
They just check the boxes.
How do they word it? Do they tweak the wording so that they get an easier check?
No, not necessarily, because most people don't even look. Most people just click.
They're so used to just checking boxes.
They just have no idea, right? So, I mean, some people might read it, but it's not really, it's nothing alarming, right? It just says, you give us consent, and the lazy people might just say, all right, go ahead, do whatever, $0 plan sounds good.
Yeah.
So they check these boxes, and now that becomes a no-call ACA lead, right?
Got it.
Now you can sell that data to an insurance agent and say, hey, insurance agent, you could go ahead and enroll this person without ever talking to them because they've already given us these consents. Take a look at this, right? The regulators, from what I've heard, have a big issue with that because the customer isn't actually picking their plan, right? So
True.
You have to present the customer with different plan options, make them aware of what it is, what it isn't, what it covers, what it doesn't, what network they have, whatever, right? Their plan, and then get the consent.
And you could still do that in a funnel if it was targeting a certain...
It's harder.
Geographic areas, but it's way harder.
Way harder.
Way harder.
Have you ever been on Health Sherpa?
No.
It's a very sophisticated website that asks you how often do you use your plan. You could put in your doctors as a directory of doctors.
Got it.
Which hospitals, directory of hospitals. Then they'll present you plans that actually cover those doctors. It's a very sophisticated system. Can't be just built overnight. Again, it comes down to,
Wild.
people wanting to make money now and make it today. So like if you're going to have an online platform like that, that's the right way to do it. The way it's being done now, it's more just, chat bots or consent boxes or all in combination to have someone go from the time that they find this ad all the way to the end where they're checking these boxes. By the time you know it, they're enrolled into a plan. And they're also giving their socials in these websites. So it's scary, man. So kind of going back to your point about the less educated and the people that, respond to these things, those are the people that are more likely to check these boxes than someone that's, in the working class or entrepreneurs. They're not just checking any box or giving socials over a website.
True.
Yeah. So these no-call ACA leads are a big problem because now the regulations are coming out that are going to put a stop to all of this or already have came out where now you actually have to have consent from a consumer for the plan that they've picked. So
So do you think as long as they get consent, it's okay?
Consent for the plan that they picked.
Got it.
You see
So
what I'm
not
saying?
just not just
You can't
not
just
just
give-
blanket consent.
Not a blanket
consent
consent.
for that plan.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
they have to.
That's smart. You're
Go-
looking out for the consumer, which is, I mean, dude, for us to keep helping millions of people around the world, billions of people around the world with insurance and like keep this thing rolling smooth. I mean, it's the greatest career in the world, but we start taking advantage of it and then making a bunch of shortcuts.
There's thousands,
Or just
like
get
in
rid
the
of
tens of
agents.
thousands of people that fill out these consent boxes that get enrolled. Hundreds and thousands of people a day that get enrolled without ever talking to an agent. So if you're doing,
You don't even need a call center at that point. You just need like an amazing funnel and with shortcuts, and then people that can just
licensed agents that could submit these deals.
Yeah,
That's it.
or just freaking VAs that are submitting it in one person's name all day too.
Can you imagine what that does for retention?
Yeah.
Which brings me to my next topic, and I
Okay.
think this might be a few topics ahead, but advancing, right? So
Yeah.
ACA, so in final,
Yeah, let's jump there. That's topic 5. Yeah.
Yeah, so life insurance, final expense, these have had advancing from the beginning of time, right? There's a lot of advancing in that space, but the area that didn't always have advancing is ACA, right?
Yeah.
ACA, Medicare.
So there
you don't
is
hear about-
advancing.
Well,
like,
now,
like
yeah.
HEAP and all that.
Yeah, so do you know what a HEAP model is?
For
So
Medicare, I do.
So for people that don't know what a HEAP model is, a HEAP model is where a financial institution sort of marries an FMO, right? They get together and you're selling plans under the FMO, but you're selling the plans in real time to the financial institution. Okay?
Instead of getting paid a few $100s over the year, they're going to give you hundreds of dollars, maybe $700-800, whatever, up front.
So the way the ACA works is you get a commission per member per month, right? So
Yep.
there's this big strain on cash flow, right?
True.
Because it costs you whatever your cost is, right? Let's call it anywhere from $125 all the way to $250 to acquire one sale, and then you're making $25 a month. So there's this big strain on cash flow if you're doing any kind of volume, especially on an agency level where your agents are sort of W-2 or they're just they're taking leads and they're employees. So with that model, it'll cost you a lot of money to get this agency going. So now there's a HEAP model and then there's advancing model. So these are two different financial models that'll help you sustain your business when it comes to a cash flow.
Yep.
Right. So you've got the HEAP model is where the financial institution is buying your sale in real time. So they'll give you a discounted lifetime value or the speculated lifetime value upfront. So let's just say my ACA customers speculatively, and this is industry best practices, is $400, right?
Sure.
They'll give you $300 upfront and they'll make their $100 over the years, right? So they'll give you an amount, whatever that amount is,
Sure.
upfront. That's the HEAP model, right? Then you've got the advanced model. The advanced model is where they'll give you, the financial institution will give you a 6-month advance upfront, and they'll keep a big override on that customer, right? So they'll keep a big override on that customer, and they'll give you 6 months upfront, and then they'll give you month 7, month 8 as earned. And what happens is anybody that cancels or any chargebacks, there's different models. Some will charge you back in real time. Others will charge you back on a debit balance. So anything that cancels will go in the red, right? And then your renewals will pay off that debit balance. And then at some point, you'll be in the clear, in the positive. Make sense?
Yep.
So the HEAP model. So what I wanted to know, what your opinion is on this. So the no-call leads, the reason I transitioned from no-call leads to these financial models, because imagine you're getting heaped on a deal.
Yeah.
Now you generate these no-call leads, and then you're being heaped on these deals. You're submitting at that point thousands of plans a day, and you're taking $300 up front from this financial institution on thousands of plans a day, and then you're sticking them with a bunch of customers that might charge back or will charge back. Imagine that.
That's crazy. That's nuts.
And I don't know if I'm educating people on a quick rich scheme here, but this is,
You're welcome.
yeah, no, that's what's happening. And
Yeah.
so the HEAP models And the advanced models, even though the intention is good, might create bad behavior in the industry. The intention is to help you with your cash flow, but inadvertently, you're helping people that might not care about doing things the right way and just want to dump a bunch of business on, rack up a big debit balance, take a bunch of money and say, all right, I'm not in the business anymore. See you later. Yeah,
true. I can totally see that. I feel like too that the HEAP model specifically is I don't know if it's good for cash flow. I don't know. I don't think it's the book of business you want to build because it's harder to sell because there's no renewals. But if you sell it, you're selling the business model that's spitting out cash, which is good.
Right. You'd be selling the cash flow. You'd be selling on EBITDA, not on a 605, I think it is, which is like on.
So it's interesting though. I mean, it's a real thing. Now, I wonder if carriers like it.
I doubt it. I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
So imagine this on the HEAP model, right? If I'm a bad actor and I'm generating these no call ACA leads and I'm selling a crap ton of sales to this financial institution for the HEAP, right? I no longer have any incentive to service that book of business, those members. I got paid out.
Correct.
I'm done.
You pretty much sold it to them, right?
I sold it to them. I'm done. This is a financial institution that knows nothing about insurance. So they don't have a retention team that's sitting there retaining these customers, right?
They need one.
They just pay you out and they're praying that these customers stick.
Yeah.
Now, a bad actor can go ahead and start switching those people a little later on without any recourse.
Oh, and switching
under
again.
an as-earned contract or another HEAP organization.
Yeah, because they've got the record. Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious. Imagine what I would do if I was a financial institution and I found that out, you know.
Well,
but I bet it's happening.
That's what I'm saying,
dude.
So
that's crazy.
It's so easy because you have no vested interest. So that's why I said the advanced model is better than the HEAP model for these carriers and these FMOs, because at least you have incentive to go ahead and service the members.
Crazy.
Right? And I think there's a big gap where these this I heard through the grapevine. I haven't done any research on this, but from what I hear, the carriers want these people to use the plan for preventative care. And it makes sense to me because they don't want to end up paying hospital bills. So they're giving out rewards so people go ahead and use the plan. And this is the part that I heard that I don't understand, is that the government pays the carriers when the people actually use the plan. I don't know how true that is and what, I have a few doctor friends that have told me that there's something that the structure they get paid on, they assume all the risk, and so they really service their people. So I think there's this big ecosystem of doctors and hospitals and the insurance. They all basically want these people using the plan for preventative care. So it makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, it does.
And when you're just no-call ACA lead, selling people without their knowledge at all, they're not using this plan. They don't even know they have insurance. So sometimes you call people, they're like, I have insurance? Yes, you have insurance. And here's what it is. And let me cover this with you. So a lot of people don't even know they have coverage. So
that's also crazy.
So do the carriers like it? To answer your question, I don't think so, because there's not somebody that's promoting the carrier. The customer doesn't know they have insurance. They're not going to use it for preventative care. So my opinion is, I don't think the carriers love that, and it just brings a bunch of people that weren't in the insurance business to become insurance salesmen overnight. When COVID happened, everybody became a mask salesman, right?
Yeah.
Everybody became a hand sanitizer salesman. And that's what this does. When you have these financial institutions heaping and advancing, now people that weren't even in the insurance business look at, oh my God, you're making how much?
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to get my license.
Makes sense.
And it, so that's what it ends up promoting.
Crazy.
And inadvertently, it ends up promoting bad business, because a lot of guys that don't know anything about anything get into the business learning from a bad actor.
Yeah.
And they have no idea what they're doing. And it just, it's just a big spiral downward effect in the insurance business. So I don't think the carriers love it.
I could see that for sure.
Yeah.
All right. What topic we'll move to next?
So let's go backwards, I guess. Have you heard of a lot of big insurance agencies have switched over from doing Medicare Advantage, Medicare Sups, over to now doing ACA? Have you heard about that?
I've heard them adding it. I had not heard them totally moving.
So I've heard of like some of the bigger guys adding it, but I've heard of a lot of like sort of boutique, medium-sized companies. So I'm in Florida. We're the hub for call centers, right?
True.
And I don't know if I should be proud of that or not, but a lot of them are switching or have switched from Medicare Advantage over to ACA. Now, I have a lot of insight on why ACA customers switch, but I'll sort of revert to you for the Medicare business. So a lot of Medicare Advantage customers get switched around a lot. Here's my experience. We ran Medicare for a little bit. We were testing with it. One thing that we realized is Medicare Advantage customers specifically, and a lot of them in the lower income bracket. I don't know why, can't make a correlation with that. But what happens is you sign somebody up for Medicare Advantage, you call them the next day, and they don't even remember you. That's something we ran into a lot. Do you have any?
Wow.
So that's what caused a lot of the retention
CMS
issues.
has changed some of the guidelines to where, and I'm not selling Medicare Advantage every day, so humor me. I'm not reading out of a guidebook, but like they you could switch literally every month before. If you were like on Medicare and Medicaid, you could switch every month with like duals. Now they've got to where you can only do it so many times per year. I don't know why you'd ever need to do that anyway, but they've got to where that they can switch less. And most of the call centers were targeting those lower demographics. And then the second piece is now they want you to record all your phone calls and use like software and that kind of stuff.
So you can't do DSNPs anymore? DSNPs are
you just cannot flip a plan every month anymore.
Like when COVID came out, they had the COVID SEP that ran for a long time where you can switch the plan every single month using an COVID SEP.
Correct.
Are you saying that went away?
I am saying that yes, I do believe that has went away.
Got it.
I'm being told it's went away.
I got you.
I'm not doing it, so I don't have proof. But like I'm being told that's changed in a big way.
Got it. So now people can't switch as often as they used to.
Correct.
Got it.
Yep. And then they keep adding regulations to make it tougher and tougher to just a lot of the like they made it tougher on call centers with all of the needing to call into certain numbers and all this kind of stuff. You know, like.
I used to be close with some call centers that did Medicare Advantage, and all of their retention numbers were not good. And it's possibly because of
I've heard that too.
Yeah, so I've heard that it was because people were able to switch so often.
Correct.
That was one of them, but the other reason was, again, you'd call a customer the next day.
That's crazy.
And they just wouldn't remember who you are.
I haven't heard that, but I guess I could see it. I mean, how nuts is that? Honestly, like that's wild.
Well, I could see it. I mean, you're speaking with people that are up there in age, right? Mm-hmm. They need guidance. They need help. And some of them are unfortunately just don't have the help, and they just can't remember. And that's a big, I mean, if it's a one-off situation, it's like, okay,
sure,
1 out of 100 people don't remember. But this is like, from what I was hearing, like 60, 70 people out of 100 didn't remember talking to you.
That's nuts.
And they're 85 plus. So
crazy.
So I was just wondering if you had any insight on why a lot of these agencies have switched over from Medicare Advantage to now ACA or final expense, just doing different projects.
That'd be the only few reasons I can think of.
Same.
Yeah.
One thing that I wanted to ask you about, whether if it's final expense, Medicare, ACA, you always want to look for a good partner. And this might be good for people that are looking to get into the insurance business or people that are stuck with an FMO they don't like. Mm-hmm. How do you recognize a good FMO?
Yeah.
And what are some of the things that you look for when looking for an FMO, when shopping in the market? Some people only look at comps.
Correct.
Actually, most people probably just look at comp levels. Who's offering me the highest comps? What do you look for? And what do you think on, what are your thoughts on that?
A few things I look for. Comp is important, but I actually truly believe people can go nuts in comments if they want. I believe the culture of the organization is far more important than comp. I think comp's important, but I actually believe culture is more important than comp, because if I'm making a lot of money, making an extra 5 or 10 points, but I absolutely despise who I'm working with, it's never going to work, you know? And so I do believe culture over compensation. I do. I also believe that they need to be ahead of the curve when it comes, or at least in line A lot of agencies and companies, FMOs, IMOs, are just freaking dinosaurs. You know, carriers have always been that way at times. It's come a long way since COVID. I think it's sped up our industry and the advancements of technology. But I think they need to be on the they need to have make it easier for you to do business with them.
So just up to date on technology.
Yeah. Also being available. Like there's a lot of places like people cannot get hold of their upline or the company they work with. Like I hear that a ton. Like they won't answer the phone. I cannot get hold of them. And I'm like, dude, that's freaking crazy.
Okay. What about contracts? Do you review contracts pretty thoroughly and see like...
Most agents don't, but that's actually another really good point. Yeah. Because you may end up in a model that you don't agree with or don't want to be a part of, but maybe you clicked a box. Back to the whole thing. Like, who knows?
Devil's in the details, right? So for me, when I look for an FMO, I totally agree with you. Actually, culture to me is more important than the comps as well.
Yeah.
I want to make sure the guys that I'm working with we have the same mindset, right? So if I'm partnering with anyone, and this is a big partnership, you're getting in bed with them. You want to make sure that we're on the same page, right?
Yeah, it's still a business partner at the end of the day.
Exactly. And I love the technology piece you said. A lot of them are dinosaurs. And to make life easier for you, and I'll give you a small little example. We had explored an FMO that did everything via phone and phone sales. And then there was another one that was doing e-signatures. And this is a while back, they had just figured out how to do the e-signatures a lot sooner than this group. And so that was a better technology play to go with, right? So just what they're offering you that makes life a lot easier. I totally agree with that. The contracts. So reviewing company contracts really gets me to understand how they think, right? So if they want to tie me into exclusivities and they want to tie me into non-competes that don't make any sense, I'm looking for that in agreements. I'm also looking for agreements. How soon are you going to release me? If I want to leave, are you going to release me right away?
A lot of places won't.
A lot of places won't. But if they're contractually obligated to release you, I want that in the contract. I want to see that in the contract. And if I don't, I'm going to redline it. For people that don't know what redlining is, that's when you give it to your attorney in a Word document and you have them correct that language, right? So I'm going to redline it. And then if they respond to me in a negative way, like, sorry, but we can't do this, I know I'm not going to work with this group, right? So I don't want to be held hostage, especially, if we're a few months away from open enrollment and I'm in the ACA business or in the Medicare business and OEP is coming up or AEP is coming up. And I'm ready to move on to another FMO, a lot of bad actors will hold you hostage. And when you call the carriers, they say, sorry, we can't do anything about it. Now, again, the intention is good. The reason why they're allowed to do this is because a lot of bad agents rack up debit balances. And then the response is, sorry, no, I can't release you because you need to pay this debit balance back,
you
right?
owe money,
There's a lot of good reasons to hold someone hostage.
That makes sense. Like, I don't want to release somebody and be saddled with all their stuff. If you know what I mean?
Agreed.
Like, I want to be some smart business person, whether I'm a downline or an upline or whatever.
So what I like to do is, if all my debt is cleared, I need a release.
Yeah.
You put that language in there, and you get a release. Yeah. So those are the three probably top things that I look for when I'm looking for a good FMO.
That's good.
Do you agree with that?
Yes. Love that. That. That's a good one. Cool. We on 6?
We're on 6.
Let's go, man. 2 more.
Yeah. So, actually 6 was the release. So we're on 7.
Oh, you were on 7. You're right.
Yeah. So, question for you, because the final expense has been an area where not a lot of regulation is there. It's pretty free and wide open. Let me tell you what I'm hearing about final expense now.
Okay.
So final expense, one thing that I'm hearing is like e-signatures have become very popular. Interestingly enough, a lot of call centers are getting into the final expense space, right? They're doing e-signatures, but guess what?
They're creating the email.
They're doing the e-signature. The customer's not actually signing. They are doing the e-signature on behalf of the customer. What are your thoughts on...
Do they not track location and IP
Should,
and all that?
But I don't think anyone's looking.
Wow.
Let me ask you this.
I've heard this.
All right, let me ask you this, because you're more life insurance, right? So let me ask you this. What are your thoughts on getting consent from the consumer about e-signing on their behalf? So you get a verbal recorded confirmation that, hey, you can go ahead and e-sign on my behalf. What are your thoughts on that?
Do you need to be in a power of attorney to actually pull that off, or for that to like hold up? Because if that was allowed, dude, no one would ever send e-apps to their clients anymore. They would just get a verbal authorization, keep it on file, do all those things. I don't know.
That's a good point.
I mean, it's a great question because I didn't realize that was actually happening. I had heard of it. I didn't realize it was happening. But it makes sense, though, because you're right. Even carriers, because of the manpower, are actually trying to go away from voice signature and lean into e-signature because they don't need a whole call center sitting there answering the phone all day, walking through applications for 40 minutes, you know?
So the life insurance operations that you're close with, are they more call center style, meaning you've got a bunch of agents you're giving leads to and they're just signing them up? Or are you close to more life insurance agencies that are independent field agents?
More independent field.
Okay, so you probably won't know the answer to this, but I was wondering, what do you think is a good retention rate for a final expense call center? Like how much of the business should fall off annually for it to be considered good?
I've heard as much as 40-50% falling off.
That's not good.
No, I believe 70%.
Okay, so 30%
a solid
falls off.
number.
Okay, so if 30% falls off
after like legit 12 months though, not 8 or 9.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll break down some real quick numbers, right?
Good.
Final expense around a $350 to $400 all-in cost per acquisition from a call center standpoint, right? With a 9-month advance.
Does that math? Oh, sorry. I'm getting ahead.
Yeah. So this math includes marketing cost, payroll, the entire, operation down to the bonus penny. Every dollar you've spent.
Good.
All in cost per sale, $350. Okay. Now with the comp levels that are out there, and with a 9-month advance, some do a 6-month advance because if it's a guaranteed issue product, right? So you've got guaranteed issue product, you have level products that pay a lot more, right? With that blend, your all-in top-line revenue per sale from a unit economic standpoint is around $600 to, let's say, $620 a sale, right? And then you have a 30% fall off. So your net profit per sale,
it's like $100,
is like $350, and then you've got $620 revenue, and then 30% fall off, which is what, another
to about $200.
Okay, yeah, about $200. So yeah, you're net profiting about $100 to $150 a sale.
Well, no. Now if you take $620 and then you take off $200, you're at $420, and then if you're at $350, so you profit about $70, right?
That sounds about right.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So
that's not a lot.
So if 30% falls off, you're not really.
And if you start doing the math on, I love that you're doing this because I love numbers too. If you start looking at 70 divided by the 620, it's like I'm running a business on an 11% profit margin, which I've done, but it ain't fun.
It's not fun. You got to have a lot of volume and you've got to penny pinch and you got to find every possible way to increase your.
So what LTV. Should it look like? Because you do this.
Yeah.
And you do it better than this.
I do.
I would assume.
Yep.
How does someone help their situation in this example? Because I do think that's actually most call center operations. I think you just hit it right on the head.
Yeah.
But also people are like out there wanting to start call centers.
True.
It sounds good. It's dangerous too, though. There's a lot of money. Not dangerous from a business owner standpoint, even though it could be. But like you've got a lot of industry experience in this. You're good at it. A lot of people have no freaking clue, and then they're going to go spend an insane amount of money and end up with maybe even less than 11% because they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of call center operations that lose money because they just.
So believe it or not, the key is to generate your own leads, and you have to get creative.
I agree with both of those things. 100%.
So
100%.
If you're buying the same leads that everyone else is buying, your fall off will be 30% or more. And that's because
they're going to re-opt in.
Not only that, but that data is being sold everywhere else.
Yeah.
So the same data you're buying and dialing on.
100%.
Someone else is buying that data. And the lead vendor or the data vendor doesn't have any ill intent, but they're motivated to sell their data.
Dude, I've heard of live transfer companies sending the same live transfer multiple places.
Oh, that's very common.
Yeah. But dude, that's freaking, man, that sucks.
So the live transfer companies not only sell that live transfer elsewhere, but
especially when most of them are forgetting the next day anyway. It's like, dude, I could transfer them every day.
But then the data, they're also transferring the data. So they see that, oh, this person had a 15, 20-minute talk time. I'm going to go ahead and sell that data because more than likely that person's going to connect and talk to them for a long time.
Yeah.
So you've got people that just don't answer the phone. And then you've got, not live transfers, but like data, right? So if you're selling data that has decent talk times, you're going to, the person that's buying the data is going to be very happy, but they don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
They don't understand that the data that they're buying are from people that have already talked to someone and sold. So yeah, it's generating your own leads.
I 1,000% agree with that.
Is key. Keeping your costs low. So you have to get very creative.
You do have to get creative, and you have to keep it creative. Like I talked to a company yesterday that generates their own leads, and they shoot new ads every month.
Oh yeah.
Because they have to stay ahead of the curve.
Yeah, we do content every week. New content every single week.
I love it.
And so that's what keeps us going, right? We don't want to be on a hamster wheel with buying leads from a lead vendor because the lead vendor is buying leads from other media buyers, right? And you don't want to buy leads from a lead vendor.
Crazy.
You want to generate your own leads. That's going to be key, unless it's a trusted lead vendor. You really know them, in bed with them. But generating your leads is going to be key. And then get creative. I'll give you an example. So back in 2011, when we started, we were offering limited med plans and short-term major medicals. This was an alternative to health insurance.
Okay.
This is a time before Obamacare ever existed. This was a time where there was a big market for limited med and short-term plans because people couldn't afford health insurance at the time or they couldn't qualify, right? So at the time, we were looking for people that were self-employed, people that were, that didn't have a job to get insurance through it, right? Or had a job but couldn't get insurance through the job. Anyway, so the one thing that I did is I started posting. This is when I was actually working at a place. I started posting banners on trucking companies. So any trucker that would visit certain websites to, for their truck or for whatever reason, wherever they congregate, I would put banners up on those websites. And I got a bunch of web form fills, and those were our best leads. That was like an example of getting creative. Knowing your customer, knowing their behaviors, where they go on the web, and being able to target them. The other thing that I did was, think about it this way. This is going to give a lot of ideas to your audience here.
Okay.
When do people think about health insurance the most?
When they're in the hospital.
Right?
Or about to use it.
Right. So what I did was I had a bunch of kids that I paid to go out to different emergency rooms and pass out our flyers. Because when you're in the emergency room and you don't have health insurance, now you're thinking, holy shit, I need health insurance. Right?
Yeah.
So even some of our ads are just like based around emergency room, not to give away too much, but
Sure.
I'm kidding. No, but that's, so you have to really get creative and think about who your audience is,
100%.
where are they going to be, and you need to pop up there. And this is an ever changing market. Leads are just, it's so sickening because a lead campaign will do amazing for a week. And then all of a sudden it completely changes and hits the ground. And you're like, what happened? For those reasons, we keep a bunch of ads in rotation. We keep new content every single week.
That's awesome.
And for our downlines that are just getting into the business or people that are not as familiar with the business and how to generate leads, and that's sort of step 3 for them.
Yeah.
Step 1 is just figuring it out. We also offer them leads. So, we help them kind of get on their feet before we show them how to generate.
Speaking of that, if they want to learn more and speak to you, work with you, keep learning from you, etc., and we'll put some links in the description below for you, but what should they do?
Sure. So I have an exciting giveaway for all the audience here. If you go to onecallclosesale.com, all spelled out, onecallclosesale.com. S-A-L-E. Onecallclosesale.com.
Okay.
Yeah, not with an S at the end. So onecallclosesale.com, you can download a free PDF. This is a 9-page 9-pager that I wrote on
awesome.
one call closes. So my core competency experience from the beginning of time, besides lead generation and retention, is one call closes. So onecallclosesale.com. There's a free 9-page PDF you can download, and you can connect with me through that, or you could go to jayabdulaziz.com. And we'll put the link below as well.
Yep.
And you can connect with me there and book a consultation.
I love it.
And I'd love to connect with people and really show them how to get into the business if they're not in it already, or how to improve their current businesses.
Dude, this was phenomenal, man. Like, this was one of the, if not one of the best, if not the best, like high level, educational, insurance focused episodes that we have ever done.
That's awesome.
I attribute that to not only your experience, your preparation, and my good looks, but either way, when we combine all this together, it's freaking rocket ship, man. Okay, just kidding. But dude, it was a blast, bro. So good. Thank you.
This is the first time I've ever traveled to go meet somebody.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Boom,
so
bro. Thank you.
Got one for you too.
Yeah, man. Thank you. That's amazing.
Well, a very exciting conversation. I love your operation.
Thanks, bro.
My first time in Missouri. It's been awesome.
Greatest
I love
state.
the weather here. Oh my God.
Greatest state in the world.
Oh man. Florida, I mean, we get humid. We're still humid now. I mean, we only have 2 seasons, but this was nice. The weather's been really nice.
This is a good time for us weather-wise, yeah.
And for anybody that's watching that's from Florida people are a-holes. Very nice people in
I thought
Missouri.
it was just New York.
No. New York, they'll actually break in and steal things. Like in Florida, we've got some really rude people.
Yeah.
And I've kind of grew up in
They don't break in and steal stuff, though, because y'all have guns.
If you're in Miami, if you're in Opelika, you probably get robbed. But so it's kind of like New York. But here, I mean, my God, people are nice.
Yeah.
It's a little different world out here.
It's cool.
It's calmer and more quiet, less going on, but a lot of nice people.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, love it, man.
Thanks,
love
man.
being here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, brother.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. You did amazing. Okay. Jay Abdulaziz, man. Give him some love in the comments below. One of my personal most enjoyable podcast episodes ever shot. I would love for you to let us know in comments below what you thought of today. Also, you can go to his website, jayabdulaziz.com, or One Call Close Sell, S-A-L-E, onecallclosesell.com. Both those links are in the description below. And grab his 9-page PDF. I guarantee you there's going to be something on there that you didn't know, because this dude is incredible. I appreciate you hanging out with us on the Power Player Podcast, and we'll see you on the next episode. Adios. Hey, if you enjoyed this, I got another one you're going to love. It's right there. Click on it. See you in there. I'm so excited for today's CA Power Player Podcast. I'm your host, Cody Askins. We got a special guest. He is back on the channel talking about how to sell life insurance from home. Here's what I love about this person. Yeah, I'm telling you, this will be one of the best.